Thanks for downloading a 3CR podcast. 3CR is an independent community radio station based in Melbourne, Australia. We need your financial support to keep going. Go to www.3cr.org.au for more information and to donate online. Now stay tuned for your 3CR podcast.
Welcome to another episode of Lost in Science. It's our final one for the year. We've made it another lap around the sun at 365 days and a quarter. It's been a year. End of 2024. And we've got our end of year special. We've got Claire, Lyndon, Chris, how you all doing?
Yeah, good. I feel like we nearly made it. I feel like we can make it this far. We can complete this. We can get this done.
We are really getting through it. I am pumped. 2024. What a year, hey, Kat.
Yeah, what a year. And we have Lyndon joining us this year. Like, this is a fun bonus.
Yeah, I feel like I've jumped on the end of the bandwagon, the end of year special. I've only been here for a few weeks, but I'm here and I'm so excited. It's been a great year for me, particularly now that I've joined the team.
That's excellent. Well, we're gonna find out some of the things that we've learned this year. Chris, I believe you've got something up your sleeve.
Yes. I like to. I don't know. It's a tradition that I've only just started. I think. I like to test your knowledge. I usually wrap up the year by seeing a quiz of the top science stories, or some of my favorite science stories of the year. Some of them we've covered on Lost in Science. Some of them tangentially, I suppose. Given who you all are, probably more going to be stories that Stu and I have done rather than any of you three, because I don't want to make it too easy for you. But yeah, that's my plan. Bit of a quiz. Test your brains.
Oh, Chris, I love
Prizes in the offing there, Chris?
Let's see how well you go first before you ask for prizes, okay?
And Claire, are you losing us in some science, or are you finding some science?
I mean, maybe there's a little bit of column A and column B there, Kat. I'm actually immersing myself and subsequently you all into some of this year's weirdest science that we have neglected to take upon ourselves and communicate to our dear listeners. I'm collecting it all like a little squirrel collecting little tidbits of knowledge, and now my cheeks are full and I'm going to let's not say vomit it all out, but
I'm just thinking spit, like,
yeah, pew, in your general direction, with some of the weirdest science that 2024 had to offer us.
Love it. Weird, wacky, wonderful. Well, let's get on with the show.
Okay, yes, you are listening to Lost in Science, and yes, we are going to see how much you remember about what happened this year in science. Have you got your brains ready, folks?
Ready.
Lyndon, I'm going to start with something that is probably more in your wheelhouse. Again, don't get too excited because it's not a nice story, but we've got to cover it.
Yep.
So my first question, and this is not something we necessarily covered, but in January this year, it was announced where 2023 ranked in the list of hottest years on record. 2023 being year before, obviously, just collaborating ourselves here. Where did you think 2023 occurred, ranked on the list of hottest years on record?
Buzz.
Yeah.
From when?
Now, where was it on the list of hottest years?
Number 1, 2023. I'm pretty sure number 1 with a bullet. The hottest year on record.
That is
2023 was the hottest year on record.
That is correct.
Yep.
That is correct. Just out of interest, where do you think 2024 is currently sitting?
Number 1.
Yes, it is. It is on path to outrank 2023. So that's good to know that climate change is not letting us down here. It is continuing to deliver.
They're global values, aren't they? I don't think they were Australia's hottest years on record.
No,
That's still 2019.
it is.
but
It is very good. Very good. Yeah. X points for Linton there. That one.
I want that prize. I don't know what it is, but I want it.
Okay, so I think that's at least 1 point to Linton so far. Okay, look, this next one is one that some of you may have been. It's a recent one, so maybe will help remember some of this one. So I recently talked about on the show a new human species that has been named, like an early human species, I guess, not current human species. A ancient hominins, Homo juluensis, with a lot of fossils in China primarily, and they tended to include in this new species which mystery group of ancient humans? What is the name of this mystery group of ancient humans who hopefully have been encountered?
It starts with D.
B.
Denobians?
Denobians? Is that
Denisovans.
Denisovans?
Denisovans. Yeah. Now you should know this.
Just pretend I scribbled it on the page.
These were remember these are the kind of the same time with the Neanderthals. They interbred with Neanderthals. We have their genes. We carry their genes still today. They the Homo sapiens. So you should know them because they're quite important in our history. Moving along, Stu covered this story a few months ago. You might remember there was a story about some invisible mice. Rather transparent mice that were actually rendered transparent by coloring them with a food dye. Counterintuitively coloring with this dye. Can you tell me what color was the dye that was used?
Was it red?
No, I'm sorry, Kat. And I think you were the only other person who was there when we were.
Can I just throw a wild card?
Yeah, go for it.
Like green, like a green screen?
No.
Oh.
Lyndon, do you want to have a punt?
What?
No, look, you were wrong. It was actually yellow. It was tartracine, also known as yellow number 5. It is a yellow food dye, and it was used to make animal tissue transparent. As you can imagine, being a yellow dye, it's not at all wavelengths that it is transparent. I think that's a key thing to point out here. I think in particular at the yellow wavelengths, it's not going to be terribly transparent, but at different wavelengths, so your blue and that sort of thing, you can see through it. So yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive, but yeah, this particular dye made the tissues able to be seen through and let you have transparent mice that you can look into. All right, we're doing well so far. How are we? I think Lyndon is on 1, and I'm not sure what happened to Denisovans. No one really got that. So Lyndon, you're winning.
Great. I feel it. I feel like a winner.
Okay, I'm going to stick with the color scheme. Color theme, and one of the most popular episodes of the year, I looked at the stats, was the episode where in which I talked about the color of blueberries. So I'll have to ask you, that's the dumbest question I've ever asked on the show, what color are blueberries? But no, I don't want to ask that question specifically. I want to ask, what color is the pigment in blueberries?
I feel like this is a trick question.
Yeah, like in shade.
Is it purple or something?
It makes cakes purple, right?
No, they're going to lilac.
Oh, yeah.
It is more, well, I'm going to accept the purple. It is more specifically red.
I don't know if you should accept purple then, if it's
No,
red.
but it goes like, so, okay, so blueberries basically have anthocyanins in the skin that are kind of a reddish color. If you peel the skin of a blueberry back, you'll see that it's kind of got a reddish color underneath. It's been looked at in the microscope. They've confirmed that it's red. If you mush them up, you get a nice red color. In cakes, I think what happens is the chemicals react with, say, the baking soda and stuff like that. In an alkaline environment, they turn more purplish. However, they are got a red pigment in them. The blue color comes from the waxy outer layer that it's a structural color. So the way the wavelengths of light are reflected off the blueberry through this waxy outer layer is what gives them the blue color. So it's not a blue pigment. It's just it's what they call a structural color. Speaking of red, one of the most spectacular science stories of the year was in May with the auroras that were seen across the world. red and green lights seen in the sky due to the excitation of oxygen atoms due to coronal mass ejections on the sun. A lot of exciting science. I think we talked about it a bit. I think, Kat, you guys did a talk about the corona as well. But I'm curious to know, in Australia, how far north were these auroras seen? Like, they were very big. How far north do you think they were seen? I'll accept the state. Okay, well, let's narrow it down to the state.
Okay.
Who was the buzz?
Well, I'm going to go that was seen quite far north in New South Wales, maybe even into Queensland. I don't know.
And they were seen in the Northern Territory. They were seen in Uluru.
Right.
Is that further north?
I'm going to award a point to Claire because the answer I had was Mackay in Queensland. BSA is a border from Mackay. So, yeah, that is pretty far north. Yes. So, a point to Claire. And I think I gave a point to Kat for the blueberries. So, I think we're all got a point.
No, I don't think so.
Take it, Kat. Take the point.
Okay. Well, mate,
Well, I also knew the climate change thing, so I'll accept half a point for that.
you can just because you know it, you've got to say it. It's not how trivia works. So that process works. I think I probably have time for one more question. Okay, this one perhaps is for you, Kat. Because this is a story that you did one. Related to a story you did one on, which is the short-term mini moon that Earth had this year. I believe it left right in August, left in November. The name is
Sweet
24
little stay.
PP5. Also, though, identified this year, there was about another planet in the solar system that was found to have had a temporary satellite, which has been called Zoozve as its name. That's ZOOZVE. Which planet currently still has Zoozve or Zoozve, according to National Wikipedia, as its temporary satellite? Sorry, temporary, I should say quasi-satellite, which I will get into. That might be a clue.
Well, I mean, even we have quasi-satellites sometimes.
So not Earth, that's my other clue, not Earth.
Saturn has a lot of stuff around it, surely.
No, I'm afraid anyone else want to take a guess?
Jupiter.
Do another clue?
Okay.
It's a planet that's not known normally for having moons.
So Mercury or Venus?
Pick one. It
Venus.
is Venus, indeed. Thank you, Kat. I am going to give you a point for that. Come on. But yeah,
With all the guiding and
so why not? Why not? It's the end of the year. But yeah, like I said, it is a temporary satellite. But I say temporary, it's only about 7,000 years. It's been orbiting with Venus. Now, what's a quasi-satellite, Kat? Could you explain what that is?
There was a quasi-satellite and then there was, that was different. I thought the quasi-satellite was based on shape, not amount of time. Like, it's when it's orbiting the sun, but it's sort of at the same pace as the planet, and so it seems like it's orbiting the planet, but it's not.
That's the one. Zoozve is actually orbiting the sun, but so it takes about a year to orbit Venus. From the point of view of Venus, it looks like it's going around Venus, but it's actually orbiting the sun. It just looks like it's going around Venus. It's about 30 million kilometers from Venus. When our moon is something like 384,000 kilometers from Earth. So it's a long way away from Venus. It's not actually trapped in Venus's gravitational field. So it's orbiting the sun rather than via. So look, that's the end of our little quiz. I think we've run out of time. So I'm not sure who won there. I think we've got some
Science.
one.
Everyone's a winner.
This is one.
Everyone's a winner when you listen to Lost in Science, right, Chris?
That's true. That's true. Well, in a more realistic way, no one's a winner of this particular quiz. But maybe if you study hard next year, you can be victorious.
Yes, you are listening to Lost in Science. And everyone, it's been another big year for science. There was the JWST, that continues to provide incredible insights into the birth of the universe, that incredible telescope. We had bird flu showing up on the scene in a big way, threatening farms and wild bird populations across the world. And of course, as we just heard from Chris, climate change made our world hotter and hotter. But as this is the last show of 2024, I did want to share something a little bit different, some science that doesn't get the headlines. So first up, number one story you might have missed. A man got a clear skull transplant. There's now a window into his brain. So in June, we learned researchers were able to implant a transparent skull implant into a man's brain. So technically, the world's first window to the brain.
Hang on. So it goes brain, then skull.
It goes brain and window.
Then
So like they cut a bit of the skull out and replace it with like a transparent thing.
Yeah, you can see straight into the brain.
But like all the layers, like there's a lot of layers around the brain. Those kind of things.
I don't know how many layers. I don't know how many layers are off, like that the glass looks onto, but certainly there's no skull there. It is a window, and the window is made out of polymethyl methacrylate. It's a lot like plexiglass, and the implant. The lucky implantee is the 39-year-old US man, Jared Hager, and he'd suffered a brain injury while he was skateboarding in 2019. So part of his skull was removed to allow his brain swelling to allow his brain to swell while it healed. But then during pandemic delays, he had to endure a hole in his head for 2 years. So not a great outcome for Jared. So eventually he volunteered for this project, researching a new brain imaging technique that uses ultrasound to monitor brain injuries. It's all about this ultrasound situation, really. So ultrasound can't be visualized across the skull or across metal, which is if you had a brain injury or you needed sort of something to step in. If your skull wasn't there, it'd normally be metal. He volunteered and he ended up getting his skull repaired with this see-through plastic instead. So they tested before and after the implant with some join the dot puzzles for Jared to do. He strummed a few tunes on his guitar as the scientists tested the ultrasound, and they found that the images that they generated through the clear plexiglass window were a little bit less exact than the images without it, but they were still useful enough for Jared. So it was sort of a win-win situation. He doesn't have a hole in his head anymore, and he can also get some of these ultrasound tests being done on his head. So also, what a Halloween costume for next year. Amazing, right?
All right. But I'm assuming that he normally wears a lot of hats, Mal.
I mean, maybe it's just the sort of thing that you own. It's like nobody else in the world has a window to their brain. Like, it's cool. Yeah, so the next story I want to talk about, it's research that gives a possible evolutionary reason for kissing. I don't know if you've ever wondered why humans kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, most animals, and even some human cultures, they don't kiss. In fact, capuchin monkeys, they stick their fingers in their friends' eyes to show affection. Yeah. And it sounds like my worst nightmare. So anyway, researchers, it's been a bit of a puzzle why we kiss, and it's led to a UK researcher exploring how it could have started. And has led them to a hypothesis that suggests kissing evolved as a way to suck parasites and dirt off our loved ones. It's great. It's great. It all comes back to chimpanzees, as so many things do. right? So yeah, the researcher noted the chimps and bonobos, obviously our closest relatives, they groom each other to bond and form hierarchies. And then at the end of the grooming, they do something that's a lot like kissing. They purse their lips together and they suck softly. And this is sort of meant to sort of like vacuum up any remaining parasites and dirt. So the theory goes that it was this sort of behavior, this sort of one-sided kiss that apes were doing, engaging in sort of this mutual grooming, that this behavior evolved into kissing. That we sort of, even though when we lost our fur, we weren't sort of engaging in the same sort of mutual grooming that apes do, but we kept the final one-sided kiss, lips together, suck softly, as a sort of ritual at the end of it. And then somehow mouths coming together, kissing, because lips are quite sensitive and it felt good.
So explain the fingers and the eyes then. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, like this is all a hypothesis. This is all just it's called the groomer's final kiss hypothesis, and there's no since it's totally unproven, but oh man, I mean, I love it. I love everything about it, and I look forward to the day when they can prove this hypothesis, and we can all think about parasites every time we kiss someone. So yes, the third story. The third story I must bring up, especially around this time of year, especially around this time of year when we're all enjoying a good cheese platter, maybe an aged cheese, was that this year saw the discovery of the world's oldest cheese. Not only discovered, but smeared on an ancient Chinese mummy that was 3,600 years old. So yeah, you might have heard of this one. But yes, in September, Chinese scientists said they'd successfully extracted DNA from several samples of ancient cheese. Fascinatingly, they found the cheese smeared on the heads and necks of mummies found in the Tarim Basin in northwestern China. So there you go, incredible. The DNA revealed that the dairy products were cow or goat milk, and they contain microorganisms that are still used today. So have you guys heard of a cheese called kefir? It's the kefir.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was classed as cheese.
Yeah. It's classed as it's cheese-like. It's fermented. It's fermented milk. Yeah, it's sort of halfway between a yogurt and a cheese, isn't it? Like a bit of a labna-esque type thing.
Yeah, I think of it as like yogurt.
Yeah.
But like off yogurt.
Well, yeah. They found the particular bacteria, the Lactobacillus caferinofaciens. And finding that bacteria allowed them to trace the evolution of the bugs used to make kefir. So they actually found that these bugs from the ancient cheese are more related to the bugs living right now in Tibet, which means that this cheese didn't originate where they thought it originated, in Russia, and actually it's more likely to have been produced and around China since the Bronze Age. So that's very exciting. Now, my last
That story has so many questions. Why the cheese smearing? Like, not just the evolution of the dairy and the kefir, but what's the ritual around the cheese in the mummy? And I don't know.
necks, yeah.
What's with the necks? Yeah, so many questions. Is it like a facial? Was it a thing that only rich people could do?
Maybe they just went to town on cheese before they died because it's delicious.
Maybe that's why they died. Maybe that was that's what you get for eating too much cheese. You got to sit with it for eternity.
Right. So, for my last story, I wanted to bring us back home to the incredible scientific prowess of an 8-year-old Australian girl and her initiative to discover why magpies swoop some people more than others. So, in January, 8-year-old Emma Glenfield from the Blue Mountains wanted to answer the question that has plagued anyone who's ever been swooped by a magpie: why me? Why me? So, Emma decided she's going to figure this out. And of course, she found the most swoopy of all magpies. It was named Mr. Swoops-a-lot, and it lived at her school. And she observed as it terrorized students, teachers, parents, everyone. But what she noticed was that the angry bird tended to swoop dads more than anyone else. So she started recording the details of the victims, and it turns out that it did do aerial attacks on tall men with thin or receding hair the most. Now, Emma recognised one magpie does not equal a species-wide trend. Could have just been a reflection of Swoops-a-lot's swooping preferences. So, Emma put together a survey for students and teachers, which went viral online, attracted 30,000 participants, and everyone reported details about their appearance and whether they'd been swooped. With some extra help, drawing from Excel spreadsheets, the data came back that, yes, men with less hair are swooped most often. And magpie experts are so impressed with Emma's efforts. They're looking at her data to see if her work can tell us anything else about the habits of Australia's most beloved and most, I guess, feared bird, the magpie. So there you have it, some of 2024's highlights, weird lights, low lights, and looking forward to a buttload more science in 2025.
And that's all we have this week on another episode of Lost in Science. Thank you so much for joining us. Lost in Science is recorded on the lands of the Kulin Nations and the lands of the Jurunganj people, and is broadcast around Australia on the Community Radio Network with the kind support of the Community Broadcasting Foundation. If you would like to get in touch with us, we would love to hear from you. You can find us at lostinsight@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, where we are Lost in Science on 3CR. You can find us on all the best podcast places. Or you can tune in again next week wherever you listen to Lost in Science.
Thanks for listening to a 3CR podcast. 3CR is an independent community radio station based in Melbourne, Australia. We need your financial support to keep going. Go to www.3cr.org.au for more information and to donate online.